Darren Sharper joined us now. Darren, good to have you on the program. And I was reading a quote here off of NFL piece at NFL.com, quoting Darren Sharp. I'm appalled because of the fact someone within the organization that was a part of my time there, the year 2009 and beyond, when we were making our Super Bowl run, is basically trying to bring down that era. So, Darren, you see this as somebody having a vendetta against the Saints?
Yeah, I definitely think so, and I actually know so. Someone that was formerly hired and was formerly working for the Saints, that was relieved of his duties, has a vendetta, and is trying to get back, is upset about the fact that he was let go by the Saints, and is trying to, make an issue out of something that was in-house and something that we did. There was no ill intent in what we did. It was just about playing football, but now they're trying to make it into an issue to try to put a black mark on the Saints organization.
With Darren Sharper. Now, Darren, with that said, what part of all this story maybe roused you up and you just adamantly deny and say, that is not true?
I don't like the term bounty being used about the program that we had, in which guys on the team who regulated the situation wasn't oversaw and overseen and controlled by the coaching staff. Yes, it was, but this was something that the players came up with, in which we wanted to give guys an extra motivation, give guys an extra reward of making big plays in big games. And those big plays included sacks, interceptions, scoring touchdowns on defense, things that we did throughout my time there that allowed us to win in the fashion that we won. In no way possible did we come into the meeting room before a game and say, if a guy hurts this player here or on their team, their best player, the quarterback, whoever it may be, we're going to reward that guy from doing that. At no time was that stated in any of the meetings that I was a part of in the New Orleans Saints organization.
No, Darren, it seems like to me, and the times that I've been around, that when you do have an incentive to make a big play, that it wasn't necessarily, you weren't getting rewarded for a personal foul or a cheap shot. It was in the rules, and you so happen, if you had a great hit within the rules and you knocked somebody out, well, that's part of football. So, and players would get rewarded. I think that, like we all talked about, that's been happening for decades now. And I think, was that the case, your understanding, when you were on the team under Greg Williams?
Yeah, it definitely was. And that's been happening beyond the Saints team. That's been happening for teams through the years in the NFL. And it even goes back before that. You think about Little League, when they reward young kids for making big plays, big hits in games. High school, when they give you the stickers on the back of your helmet. And a lot of those times, those stickers came from making big hits in games and big plays. College, everyone knows that they see the college teams now with the stickers on their helmet. And those are just ways to give guys rewards, to have them to be notified throughout their peers on the team that, hey, this guy is making big plays and is allowing us to go out here and win games. They're a contributor to our team. And that's all in the rules of playing the game. In those games that they speak about in which we had our playoff run, you look back, we got 2 personal fouls in the Minnesota Viking game. Before that, we didn't get any personal fouls against the Arizona game. And didn't get any in the Indianapolis Colts game, which won a Super Bowl. So if we were doing all this illegal stuff, is what people are trying to say now, we would have got flags thrown, and I know that the rules have changed since then, and the commissioner is trying to crack down on all the hits, and the hits that are hurting guys throughout their career and trying to cut those back. But throughout that playoff run, we were not excessively penalized at all throughout those games, and we played a good brand, a tough, hard-nosed brand of football, and it paid off in us winning a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, and Darren, I think I heard this on ESPN, that over that 3-year span, if the Saints were so dirty, you would think they'd be number 1 in personal fouls, but they were actually, y'all were number 8, I want to say, in the 3-year period out of 32 teams, so there were 7 more teams that had more personal fouls than the Saints.
Exactly, and we had this quote-unquote so-called bounty system in place in which guys, and someone also threw a number out there, $50,000. Are you kidding me? $50,000 on a bounty on someone's head? That has to be ridiculous. First of all, I want to know the guy that's going to have that much money they're going to put out of their own pocket to pay a guy for just making plays during the game. That's just totally nonsense and ridiculous. But also beyond that, it's just we were out there going and just saying, okay, guys, if you make a play here and there, here's a little extra pocket change for making a big play. That money is exponentially less than what you get paid, or even what you get fined if you go out there and make an illegal hit and try to get a foul against the guy during a game. The fines that they were getting levied throughout the playoffs are exponentially higher than money you will get received from making a hit on the guy, or sort of say trying to take a guy out of the game. It's not even worth the risk in trying to do that.
With former Saints safety and NFL analyst Darren Sharper. So, Sharp, with what you said, you don't like the bounty word and so forth. Had this been in place by your tone, I don't think Darren Sharper would have stood for it or been a part of it. Am I right?
Not at all. I mean, if you go in and saying, okay, a guy that takes out another player, first of all, I have too much respect for the guys that I play against. Mm-hmm. And I know they have families. The same as it's similar to me that I have a family. And I would hate for someone to go into a game and look at me as a target and say, I'm going to take Darren Sharper out of the game and ruin his career, maybe end his career. That's not the way the game is played. And I totally, if that was stated by anyone that came into the room, or coach, player, whoever, said, I want you to take this guy out of the game, of course we stand up and say, no, I'm not going to allow that to happen, because that's not the way you play football. You go out there and you play tough, you play physical, and if it just so happens, if you get a shot on a guy, and we keep seeing a replay of Bobby McCray hitting Kurt Warner when he throws the interception in the playoff game, that's a totally illegal hit.
Right.
But when Bobby's seeing this guy and he's saying, okay, that's Kurt Warner coming in on this play, am I going to try to go after the quarterback? Yeah, I am, because I know if I get a shot on him, a clean shot, and he doesn't get up, or I put a little bit extra punishment on him that might affect him and how he plays later in the game, which is going to attribute and contribute to us winning that game, of course I'm going to take a shot on that guy.
And, there a lot of fans have, you can't have your cake and eat it too, or you can't have it both ways, I should say. And and you can't be hypocritical, because this is really what the fan base of the Saints wanted, even the Saints organization. If you can remember back, even before when Coach Gibbs was running this defense, they were talking, we got to be more aggressive. We got to be more nasty. We got to be more intimidating. When you look, I mean, that's what the Saints signed up when they signed Greg Williams. His reputation was well known around league-wide, how, knocking a snot bubble, whatever, being aggressive. And they asked him basically to come on board and install his swagger to the defense. And now, what do you say to this? And I said, to me, this is no big deal. And look in the spring of 2009, and you have your first team meeting, and you got your new coordinator, like I'm sure when the Saints get together, they'll have that with Coach Spagnuolo. I mean, to me, this would fire you up. That all of a sudden you want to be intimidating. His opening statement to the defense in his first meeting in the spring of 2009 supposedly was that we got to knock them the blank out. And kind of almost saying the approach, look, you got to intimidate your opponent. That helps you win to get the momentum. See, I think football players don't have a problem with that. And doesn't that kind of inspire you as a defensive player?
That's the type of football, first of all, that's why I signed with the New Orleans Saints and why I wanted to play under Coach Greg Williams, because I know he's going to play an aggressive style of defense. We all know the numbers and the stats that say we blitzed more than any other team probably in the span that he coached the Saints defense. So coming in to play an aggressive style of defense, you're going to have to knock guys around. You're going to have to get guys shots so that they remember that you were there when you hit them with the previous.
Remember me shot.
Intimidation is going to be a factor in playing football. That's just the defensive mentality, is that you want to intimidate the offensive players and let them know that you're out there. If you go out there just playing and not playing aggressive, you're going to let the offenses do whatever they want to you, and then we're going to have these high-scoring games in which the Saints were a part of before Greg Williams came to the New Orleans Saints. So the style of defense that he implemented was the perfect style. When you have a high-scoring offense coupled with a aggressive style of defense that's going to cause turnovers, intimidate the opponent, it's the formula for success. And obviously, that formula worked out perfectly because we won a Super Bowl championship that year. And also, since then, you look at the record of the Saints. I mean, it's probably one of the highest winning organizations the last couple of years, due to the fact of what Greg Williams came in and implemented for that defense, to be a more aggressive style and an attacking style of defense. If you want to put intimidation into that mix, you can, however you want to call it. We knew that when teams came onto that field, they knew what to expect once they faced the New Orleans Saints defense, and that was going to be a defense that was going to fly around and attack the opposing offense, not sit back and wait, but force the issue and attack the opposing offenses.
Winding down with Darren Sharper, just a couple more questions for Darren. Bobby? And
Darren, when you initially said that somebody has a vendetta and wanting to get back at the Saints, and when you kind of look at just the history of what it's occurred, since 2009, you look at the 2010 lawsuit by Saints former director of security, Jeff Santini. Do you think that's maybe all of a sudden then something to do with him? Are you willing to make that statement, accuse anyone, or do you think the actual name will eventually come out who that person is?
Yeah, I believe the name will come out. I have a name, and I've been informed of who we think that possibly is the guy that came out and has become this quote-unquote snitch. But it's not Santini. His name has not come up in any of the discussions about who might have been a guy that was in the room that kind of made this statement that we had to pay for performance play in which we were having bounties put out on players. Is another guy that I believe will come out at a later date.
And finally, Darren, always a pleasure to talk to you. Former safety, future Hall of Fame, and world champion with the black and gold, Darren Sharper, visiting with us. Darren, with all this coming down, we know that sometime between now and March 25th, before the NFL owners' meetings, there will be some type of punishment rendered down on the New Orleans Saints. What is your biggest fear for the organization once the commissioner lets us know that?
You know, the money aspect and how much the fine will be is something that I'm not thinking that's going to hurt the organization that much. We all know that the Saints organization and any team in the NFL makes a lot of money. So the fine is going to be something that they can, deal with and be able to bounce back from. But if it comes to taking away draft choices, suspending coaches, suspending players, I think that is going to be something that will affect the organization for years to come. And I just hope it doesn't come to that, because this thing that people, the issue that people are talking about, I understand completely player safety, and I'm a total advocate for that. But in this issue, I don't think it's that big of a deal, because if you look back on that season and from those games, if you can tell me any one player that is going to be affected health-wise from the style of football we played in those 3 games, if anyone was put out completely to where it's going to affect them down the road, I don't think that's a case at all. But if they take away draft picks, I believe that's going to be something that might hurt the organization for years to come, and something that might be tough to bounce back from.
Well, Darren, I just wanted to let you know, as we have to go to the break, how the Who Dat Nation appreciates you. They look at it, they bleed black and gold, and they see everything black and gold. They say, well, if we had this incentive program, it sure looks like it was working when Darren Sharper was playing. He goes, where the hell was the incentive the last 2 years?
Every week, Darren, when the defense doesn't do so well, especially the secondary.
Why don't we sign Darren Sharper?
Why haven't we signed Darren Sharper back? That's what we get.
You know what? Yeah, and I sat back and watched things develop, and best believe I wish I could have been out there to maybe change some of the outcome of those games. But that's how the league is, and you just got to live with what you do.
Darren Sharper. Darren, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate the visit.
You got it. Always a pleasure.
All right. Coming back, we'll get to all